Hello, New York Giants fans, and welcome to the Valentine's Views podcast. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Coming to you on Monday morning, the day after the divisional round of the 2025 NFL playoffs. And I thought we would take a couple of minutes today to talk about things we learned during the divisional round from a New York Giants perspective. We'll go through a few of these, and in some ways they all sort of tie together to tell you just how difficult a situation the Giants are in as they try to dig their way out from under a 3-14 season and a 9-25 record over the last two seasons. And the first thing that we learned, I think, over the weekend is that the Washington Commanders are going to be a problem for the foreseeable future. I think coming out of the regular season, we probably already understood that. But what Jaden Daniels has done and the Commanders have done the last 2 weeks, reaching the NFC title game, confirms that, sort of multiplies it. Daniels in the last 2 weeks, rookie quarterback going on the road, winning back-to-back playoff games. That's only been done, I think only 7 rookie quarterbacks have won road playoff games. Daniels has now won 2 of them. Daniels is also the 4th rookie quarterback to win 2 road playoff games. And according to the research that was provided, by the NFL, no rookie quarterback has gone on the road and won 3 road playoff games. Daniels will have an opportunity to do that in the conference title game against the Philadelphia Eagles. You guys remember the days that of not so long ago, 2023, 2022, 2021, when the Commanders were a team the Giants and Giants fans looked forward to having on their schedule twice a year, because you knew that the Giants were going to win at least one of those games and probably win both of those games. That's not the case anymore. The Commanders, with Daniels, with a young talent base around him, with Dan Quinn, who looks like the right hire, the right fit as head coach, with new ownership that that has the entire organization feeling better about itself, feeling more professional. The days of Dan Snyder dragging the Washington franchise down and making it an embarrassment, those days are long gone. The Washington Commanders are a problem. The flip side of that, quickly, from a Giants perspective, if you're looking ahead to the 2025 season, the Commanders went 4-13 a year ago, and they're now playing for the right to go to the Super Bowl. So you can look at that and say, well, the turnaround is possible. This is the NFL, and as Tom Brady said over the weekend, everything starts over each year. You can never count on carryover. You can never count on more or less picking up where you left off from one year to the next. But so you can look at it from that perspective and have hope. And yet that the Commanders, just because of the core that they have with Daniels, with Quinn, with young talent around him, the Commanders are going to be an issue going forward. And the second thing, and it relates to Jaden Daniels, is that we saw over the weekend we saw confirmed something that we really already should know, that in the NFL, it is so much about the quarterback. It's the quarterback, the quarterback, the quarterback. In almost each of these games that we've seen in the playoffs, the team that got the better quarterback play won the game. Even in the Ravens Bills game on Sunday night, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, two great NFL quarterbacks. But it was once again Lamar Jackson who made the mistakes at the biggest moments, who turned the ball over a couple of times. Yes, the Ravens had mistakes by Mark Andrews, the drop 2-point conversion at the end of the game and all of that. But it was again Lamar Jackson not playing the way you would expect a two-time and now maybe three-time MVP, not rising to the occasion and not being the best player on the field. And and that ultimately that cost the Ravens in that game, as Josh Allen was terrific. Um, Jaden Daniels clearly outplaying Jared Goff in that game. Jared Goff throwing three interceptions, having a fumble, the Lions, making having a fourth interception on a trick play. Uh, but it was clear who the best quarterback was, and I might be so bold at this point as to say that Jaden Daniels might be the best quarterback in the NFC already. I don't think that's an outlandish statement. But it is so much about the quarterback. And Joe Shane, Brian Daboll have talked about getting the quarterback. Getting the quarterback doesn't fix every problem that you have, but getting the quarterback right is such a huge thing. I've said before that the Giants weren't a great football team this year, but I can point to 4, maybe 5 games, and I'm not going to go through the entire schedule, but I can point to at least 4 or 5 games that the Giants lost this year that turned completely on fourth quarter quarterback play, where the Giants just didn't get enough. They didn't get the plays that needed to be made, or there were critical mistakes, turnovers, interceptions, fumbles that were costly. So things would look a lot different for the Giants if they had been even a 7 or 8 win team this year and fallen slightly short of the playoffs. So in that sense, Joe Shane and Brian Daboll are right that getting the quarterback right and getting that guy who can be their quarterback of the future, or even getting a short-term bridge who's better than what they had in 2024, would be a step forward for the franchise. The hard part is getting that guy, of course. We saw the Giants try a year ago and fail, with Drake May. One thing that I want to note is I go back to Hard Knocks and I go back to Joe Shane asking the room full of coaches and scouts if anyone would trade up from 6 to 2 to get Jaden Daniels, if that was possible, and Brian Daboll emphatically saying that he would. And so the one thing that I have confidence in is that I think Joe Shane and Brian Daboll can identify the quarterback. I don't know if they can get the quarterback, but I think they can identify the quarterback. They identified Jaden Daniels. They identified Drake May, who had a terrific rookie season for the Patriots. So I think I think they know what it looks like. The question is, are they going to be in position to get it? Are they going, if they identify Cam Ward, for example, are they going to be in position to get Cam Ward with the 3rd overall pick in the draft? If it's Shadur Sanders, are they going to be able to identify, or are they going to be able to be in position to get Sanders? If it's somebody farther down in the draft like Jackson Dart of Ole Miss, what are they going to have to do to make sure that they get Jackson Dart? So it is so much about the quarterback. You do have to put the right people around him. You have to surround him. You have to put the right coaching. You have to put the right players. You have to put the offensive line so that the quarterback doesn't get beaten to death while he learns the NFL. But it is so much in the NFL about getting the quarterback right. We've been talking about that for years, as the Giants have not been able to do that since the heyday of Eli Manning. And we'll see. We'll see if they're able to do that this offseason. There's something else I wanted to talk about that we need to talk about is the Philadelphia Eagles and Saquon Barkley. I think everybody knew, John Marin knew, Joe Shane knew, you knew, I knew, everybody knew that there was serious potential for Saquon Barkley landing in Philadelphia to prove extremely embarrassing to the New York Giants. And that scenario is obviously playing out with Barkley having had a 2,000-yard rushing season on Sunday, 205 yards rushing as the Eagles advanced to the NFC title game. And again, it's just, we've talked about Barkley a lot, and you can justify what the Giants did analytically. You can justify it by looking at the Giants' rushing yardage and average yards per carry and success rate and things like that in 2024, which was actually a little bit higher in 2024 than it was in 2023 with Saquon Barkley. And Tyrone Tracy's a good player. I like Tyrone Tracy. I think Tyrone Tracy will do a good job for the Giants for the next few years. Tyrone Tracy's still not Saquon Barkley. And when you look back on it, the hard part to swallow, for me, when you look back on it, the thing that I have a hard time with, or that bugs me about Barkley now being in Philadelphia and seeing what he's doing now is, yes, I was a guy who I've said for years that I don't think the Giants ever should have drafted Saquon Barkley number 2 overall in 2018. I think what we saw come to fruition is exactly what I thought, which is that you just can't start a rebuild. You can't build from scratch with a running back because you can't take advantage of what that running back can do. You're putting mileage on that running back while you're trying to build around him. And to me, that just doesn't work. To me, a running back is exactly what Barkley has done in Philly. It's what Derrick Henry does for the Ravens. It's what Josh Jacobs did in Green Bay. The running back is the finishing piece. The running back is the piece that puts you over the top. When the roster is ready to insert that phenomenal running back, that can be the coup de grace. That can be the piece that puts you absolutely over the top. That is what's happening in Philadelphia. For me, the tragedy of the whole thing is that the Giants had this talent. They had this wonderful talent in Saquon Barkley, in their building, in their lineup when he was healthy. Obviously, a lot of time injured, and that played into why the Giants decided to, not to pay him the money that he wanted. But for me, I shake my head and I think they had this wonderful talent in the building, and they were never able to fully take advantage of this wonderful talent that they had. And for me, that's part of the shame of the whole thing. When I look back on the way that the negotiations went, I still shake my head at the fact that at one point in time, the reporting that we know of at one point in time is that they were $1 to $2 million apart in total value of a contract. I can't believe they wouldn't bridge that gap. At another point in time in the negotiation, they basically had agreed to a contract structure, to a contract total value, and the Giants hardballed Saquon in terms of guaranteed money. The Giants wouldn't even guarantee him the total of 2 years worth of franchise tags. I think that Barkley probably would have signed, with a 3-year, $33 million deal with the Giants had they been willing to guarantee $24 million, which would have been 2 franchise tags or slightly above 2 franchise tags. They were only willing to guarantee 19, and Saquon is in Philadelphia, and it is what it is at this point. As I said, I shake my head. I can't believe they were unwilling to do that. Anyway, the last thing I wanted to mention, I saw, the talk over the weekend that Roger Goodell, NFL commissioner, was again talking about expanding to an 18 game season, and Goodell uses well, we've always played 20 games. Used to be 14 regular season and six preseason games, and now it's moved to 17 and 3. And I get that logic, but you're still asking the best players to do more and more and more. You're asking them to play more. You're asking them to play more snaps, more games, take more hits to their body. Just watch these playoff games. Look at the number of players that are getting hurt. Look at the number of players that are going down. Look at the Detroit Lions, who had so many of their key players missing to begin with and lost even more, during the game this weekend. And they can talk player safety all they want, but there's no chance that they really care about player safety. They care about putting more dollars into their already overflowing coffers. And and I just look at more games, more games, more games, and there's no way any of that is good for players. No way, no how. And I wonder what the impact of all of that's going to be. You toss into the equation the fact that these college players with the expanded college football playoff are now playing 13, 14, 15, 16, maybe 17 games already, and you're seeing these guys get hurt during the playoff. And and what you're going to do is you're going to shorten careers. You're going to put more mileage on these bodies. You're going to put more of a toll on these guys physically. And and i i just I just don't want to hear, that, oh, we're doing everything we can about player safety when you're subjecting these guys to more and more and more and more and more contact and more risk. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox for today. That's all I've got for you guys. Appreciate you guys watching, and as always, please stay safe out there. Take care of each other, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.